Hello and welcome to Take Time. I am your host, Patrick Marlett. Today we're taking a look not at gin clear waters, but a watch meant for those days. This is the Gin Clear Diver by Second Hour Watches, a new micro and a new watch entirely. However, does it do enough to differentiate itself from the competition? Disclaimer, this prototype has been lent in to the channel. Now, as I like to do with all my reviews, let's start with some bad notes first. But before that, let's review a handful of notes. As with most prototypes, there are a few changes to occur. The ceramic bezel insert of the Gin Clear will be brushed as opposed to polished. The case will feature drilled lugs. Also, those lugs will feature polished beveled edges. And notably, the head link will be improved upon for a more seamless fit, though I'll admit it looks fine already. Do note, as the loom is not accurate to production, I will be avoiding a shot of it. The case of the Gin Clear, I'm just going to come out and say it. It's not very original. It's far from it. The current case I have in hand is all too similar to what I might have received from Spinnaker or Avi 8 in the past. Is this a bad thing? Not necessarily, but those are established competition with reasonable prices all season, and I mean outside of a Kickstarter campaign. I will state this is not accurate to what the finalized case will look like, but expect a similar finish and design, apart from the beveling not seen here. The font of the bezel insert is extremely bland, and I'm positive I've seen it in review items of the past. Does it match the Gin Clear vibe? The look is unexciting and far too militaristic for this booze-nicknamed diver. The larger issue here is it does not do enough to separate itself from the crowd, which will be a detriment when pushing that Kickstarter campaign. I'd switch not only the font, but overall styling here to make this more Gin Clear and less Scotch formal. Lastly, the overall package will be a bargain at its Kickstarter asking price, but will inevitably increase to over $500 US. There are far too many watches in this range with these exact same specs to go for a model not wholly original. So, what does the Gin Clear have over its competitors? Catchy name? Check. Decent bracelet? Also check. As a matter of fact, the build quality is very reminiscent to what Notice does, so expect a bracelet in range of that quality, both clasp and links. The action is fine on the prototype bezel and likely to be similar with production, and the crown that actuates the SW200 inside with Phantom Step is just fine. A perfectly adequate time teller with extended goals to have a date variant down the line. No word on date location. Before we close this one out, let's take a gander at the Gin Clear in pastel blue on my 7¼ inch wrist. The thing that stands out most for the Gin Clear are the poppy dial options and unique overall layout. Not all too often do we see the 12, 4, and 8 accentuated on the dial. I quite like both the look and utility of this. Is it any more practical than a 4-point setup? Not necessarily, but it's the kind of differentiation that will help this one stand out in murkier waters. That was the last Gin Clear joke, I promise. No, not the most original watch I've seen. It has various unique touches, to include that dial, the handset, and custom markers, but not enough for me. I think with its specs, it's certainly a good buy during the early part of its Kickstarter, but the competition is far too stiff in that $500 market for anything less than original. Too many brands are moving into the space with similar designs. I want to see the changes planned for this one before I'm sold or convinced you should be buying it at full retail price. Again, my name is Patrick Marlett, and thank you for the time.